What is up, guys? Media Master Menard here today, bringing you guys another video, and I just got done watching Season 8, Episode 2 of Game of Thrones, and I thought it was a pretty decent episode. I didn't think it got me hyped as much as the first episode of the season did, but I think that was kind of because we hadn't seen anything in a month and a half. But otherwise, I thought it was a pretty good episode, and I'm really stoked for the next episode, but I wasn't necessarily stoked about this episode. So we're going to be kind of looking into my initial thoughts on this episode and review it. I'm going to be doing this for the rest of the episodes of Season 8 of Game of Thrones, so if you're excited for that, you should subscribe to my channel, and also later we'll talk about what other kind of content I bring to this channel. But without further ado, let's get into Episode 2. So the episode starts off right off the bat, and you get to see Jaime Lannister in the room with Daenerys Targaryen, with Jon Snow, with Sansa Stark, Brandon Stark, and so you get to see kind of all these interactions you haven't seen for seasons go on, or you get to see the repercussions from the actions from previous seasons. I mean, a lot of people have a lot of reasons to hate Jaime Lannister, and honestly, you couldn't blame them if they turned him away or executed him on the spot, but he's able to kind of plead reason that he's willing to help out in the fight against the dead, that Cersei, his sister, is kind of crazy and everybody knows that, and with a little bit of help from Tyrion and I guess also Brienne of Tarth really vouches for him, he's able to kind of convince them to trust him, at least uneasily trust him. And I really thought the scene where Brienne vouches for him was really neat, because earlier on in seasons 2 or 3, I forget which one it was, they were traveling companions together, and it was a really cool plot line, seeing them interact and play off of each other, and we get to see them back again in action together in this episode. But we also get to see Jaime kind of face the music for his other actions. Let's put it this way, I mean, he kills Daenerys' dad, and even though Dany knows that her dad wasn't a good person, she still knows that this man really probably isn't someone that could be trusted, because he's known to backstab people, etc. And we kind of know Jaime in a little bit different of a light. We know him as kind of a hero sometimes, but an anti-hero, bad guy at other times. But we've kind of grown fond of him, let's put it that way. So, and then we get the very cool part where Bran says, "the things we do for love," which is a callback to the first episode of Game of Thrones, where he says that right before he pushes Bran out the window, and I thought that was a really nice callback. I mean, if you've been following the series forever, Die Hard, you know what he meant when he said that, so that was cool. And we even get to see him further kind of face the music when he talks to Bran near the tree in Winterfell, and he talks and he says, why didn't you give me up, that I basically am the reason you're crippled. And Bran's like, well, we need everybody we can get to fight the Night King. And I thought that was a really interesting moment. We see that even though Jaime's done a bunch of things that he doesn't regret for his house, for his family, you get to see, I mean, that's kind of one thing I think he does regret, is pushing him out the window. That wasn't really for his family, but rather himself, to be truthful. So I thought that was a really cool thing, and we got to see Jaime make his rounds with everybody around. We get to see him reunited with his brother Tyrion, which was awesome. I mean, it's just like old times, and I think that was kind of the theme of this episode. You get to see stuff just like old times one last time before the big fight, which is definitely coming next episode. On top of that, I thought the scene where Jaime asks Brienne to serve under her was a really neat scene, and things have really come full circle. But after this, we get to see everyone kind of making their final preparations for the battle, and it starts off, Jorah is kind of like, hey, I know you're mad at Tyrion because he kind of got fooled by Cersei, but hey, I think he's a really good advisor, and you should trust him. And it shows that Jorah loves Dany so much that he's willing to have her trust other people more, and he knows who's going to be best to help out Dany in the future. So I thought that was a really telling scene. And then we get to see also Dany, say, Tyrion, you can't fight, I need you. And I thought that was really deep. But then there was also a scene with Sansa I thought was very interesting. I can't tell where these two are going. They obviously don't like each other, and they made that very clear in today's episode. And we got to see a very accurate portrayal of how I think women interact sometimes. There was a lot of passive aggressiveness, and then Sansa actually kind of turns it into true aggression and is like, what about the North? We promised we would never bend the knee again. Brienne. And Dany kind of gets saved by the bell, thankfully. But it was really something that was kind of alarming, because I think these two are gonna be clashing really hard. I don't think there's a way they can resolve their problems without something going wrong. I mean, things are not going to be going well for these two in the future, and you can just tell that. And then we got to see Tormund and Ed come back, and I thought that was kind of interesting how they didn't show how they got back, because honestly, they, in the last episode, showed that the White Walkers were in between them and Winterfell. And so they said that. They did mention in the episode we had to ride around them, but still, I mean, I thought it was kind of a little bit time skippy, and I'm not one to complain about that, but I thought it could have been shown a little better that they were riding back. Whatever, I understand they had to push things forward a little bit faster because they only have 6 episodes this season. I wish they would do 10, but I understand with these big fights we have coming up, it takes a long time to film them. I heard it took about 55 nights to film the episode that's coming up here, so hopefully all that hard work paid off and we get a great episode next week. But kind of after Tormund and Ed get back, now we really see everyone start to kind of have their last night. It's the night before the battle, and we get to see a lot of interesting interactions that honestly some made sense and some didn't make so much sense. And let's just start off. Let's talk about Tormund and Brienne, because Tormund is funny. He's kind of making a drunk fool of himself. I really like that. It was in character, I thought. He's kind of obviously trying to spend his last night with Brienne and lay with her, but at the same time, Brienne's kind of like trying to focus on the battle and be ready and try to stay as serious as possible. But I thought the scenes where they're all gathered around by the fire, Sir Davos, Tyrion, Jaime, Brienne, Tormund, Sir Davos. I might have already said Sir Davos, but I thought those were really, really neat scenes, because you got to see what all these characters truly thought about kind of what they wanted their last moments to be like, if it was going to be their last moments, kind of reflecting on all the past things. And I thought the scene where Brienne got knighted by Jaime was a little corny, but I think it fits Brienne's character well, because she is corny and she is super into honor and kind of knightlyhood and chivalry. So I thought it was really important for her character to get that, and I feel like it means she's gonna die. I don't know why, but I feel like it means she's gonna die because of that. We get to see Tyrion kind of try to keep things lighthearted in the last hours. He somewhat fails at that, but then let's move kind of towards a different section. We got to see Grey Worm and Missandei, and they didn't really say too much, but they did talk about how Missandei wants to go back to Narth. I really think both. I think Grey Worm's gonna die. I don't think there's any way he can survive this fight realistically. The way that goodbye seemed like, it just seemed like a hard goodbye in my opinion. I don't know if he's gonna survive or not, guys. I don't know. Also, we got to see Arya. Let's go back a little bit. Arya and Gendry. Arya's like, Gendry, you need to make my weapon, and Gendry's like, I fought the White Walkers, you should be scared, you should be in the crypt, and Arya kind of shows off to him by throwing these dragon glass obsidian daggers like darts, and it was super cool. I thought that she was kind of just intimidating him, and he was kind of like, whoa, I better make you a good weapon. But let's flash forward, and then we get to see Arya kind of talk to the Hound for a bit, and they still kind of haven't said much to each other, so I have a feeling both of them are going to survive, because one, we got to see the Hound fight the Mountain, right guys? And also because I think that Arya is just a killer. She's a killer, guys, and I think she's going to survive, and I think we got to see more between the Hound and Arya and kind of them play off each other a little bit more at least, because they definitely didn't kind of say what needed to be said in this episode. And then Arya goes to Gendry, and she kind of really comes onto him hard, like, I want to experience this at least once before I die. And I thought that was a little out of character for Arya. It didn't make much sense to me. She had been walking around the camp of Winterfell kind of being hard and being this assassin the whole time, and then she randomly just wants to lay with Gendry, and I thought that was a little out of character. I wasn't the biggest fan of that choice. The people I was watching with also thought it was a little awkward and a little weird. So I don't know how I feel about that, I guess. And then there was also the big moment everybody was waiting for, and that was Jon Snow telling Daenerys that, hey, I'm actually the son of Lyanna and Rhaegar, your brother. And you can see Daenerys is just looking on with disgust, not because she slept with him, but because there's someone who's challenging her right to the Iron Throne, and she's so worried about that she doesn't even really realize that Jon Snow doesn't care, and he said plenty of times that he doesn't care. And we don't get any actual resolution on that because it gets interrupted by the battle horns and the battle is about to start, of course. I really would have liked to see more of that interaction, see how Daenerys takes in how Jon says, hey, I don't really care, or maybe he does care. We don't really know yet for sure, but in my opinion, I don't think he cares too awfully much. But it's very interesting. I did like how Daenerys did a very interesting kind of, whoa, like, your friends might be lying to you. I'm not sure if they're telling the truth to you, Jon. And so that was kind of a weird way to end the episode. I thought we could have gotten a little more of that information. Maybe that was me being greedy, but I have a feeling we're not going to get any more of that in the next episode because, I mean, it's going to be the big battle. So how can they be talking like in, I guess, having that type of talk during the battle? I just don't think that's possible. And overall, that's kind of my thoughts on this episode. We get to see a lot of cool stuff before the build-up of the fight, but I mean, the fight is so close. I can feel it, guys. I just cannot wait for next week. It's going to be so sick. But let's kind of talk about some things I liked and didn't like a little more specifically. And I think some things that let's start with what I didn't like is I don't like, I guess, Daenerys that much, guys, and I've had a problem with her since maybe season 4 or 5, where it seems like I just don't think she's the best ruler for Westeros, and I think she has the best, most pure intentions in her heart of being a good ruler, but sometimes I think she gets a little too on her high horse and a little too stuffy for my taste, and I just wish she was a little more. I know you can't be understanding on the Iron Throne, you gotta rule with an iron fist, not to make a pun. But sometimes it seems like she's so busy about keeping her thumb on people and keeping her authority and keeping herself as a symbol of power and one to be kind of feared. I feel like she's more worried about people fearing her than people respecting her, in my opinion. So I kind of actually hope someone else sits on the Iron Throne. I don't think she needs to die. I would be kind of sad, but I would understand because I do think someone else would be better on the Iron Throne. That's just my opinion, guys. Don't hate on me. But I did think there was a lot of good things about this episode. We got to see a lot of things with Jaime Lannister, which I thought was interesting. There was no King's Landing information or Euron Greyjoy information, so I don't think we're going to get any of that in the next episode either. So I'm not sure what the rest of the season holds. Obviously, the next episode looks like it's going to be a battle. I know it's a little bit longer of a runtime, so that will be pretty interesting. And then after that, I'm wondering if they either beat the Night King or if they're going to retreat to a different place and they're going to be under attack from 2 different directions and Cersei and the Golden Company are going to show up. If I had to guess right now, I'm going to say that they're going to lose the battle to the Night King here. They're going to retreat to the Iron Islands and then they're going to be under attack from 2 different directions. And I think maybe the Golden Company and the Lannister army is going to get slaughtered in the field by the Night King. And then maybe they'll win out at the Iron Islands. I don't know, or everybody could die. Nobody really knows. Another thing that I really liked about this episode was when Theon came back and you saw tears kind of coming to Sansa's eyes, but she didn't really let the tears flow. You get to see that not maybe all is forgotten in her eyes, but all is forgiven, and she truly is happy to see Theon come back and knows how much it was and how much it took for him to leave Yara and come back and defend Winterfell, and that they truly are family now, even though Theon isn't a true Stark. And I thought that really meant a lot, and getting to see them eat together before the battle, they're eating their soup together, and they're kind of finding these moments together of, hey, this might be the end, let's just spend it together, you know? Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? We only have tonight. And then I thought that was handled a lot better than the Arya situation, in my opinion. It was out of character for Arya, but let's just stop talking about that. Another thing I thought was really cool was Sam giving his Valyrian steel Heartsbane to Jorah Mormont, and kind of how he talks about, your dad taught me everything. I mean, he taught me how to be a man, and I thought that was really cool because we get to see how much Jorah's dad dying impacted him way back in season 5 when he's traveling with Tyrion. I mean, he really was upset that he didn't get to see his dad before he died, and that really did bother him. And you see him pledge, I'm going to wield it and he's gonna do some things with that sword. I can tell, guys. He's gonna do some things with that sword. But and the last really cool moment I thought was the 3 Night's Watch members, Sam, Ed, and John, standing on the wall, kind of reminiscing of the good old times about when they were in the Night's Watch, but how, and hey, the last guy burned our bodies. So they all know it's kind of coming, and they both tell Sam, hey, we know you're not a fighter. And Sam kind of jokingly is like, I've killed a White Walker, I've killed a Thenn. But at the same time, Sam knows, hey, this battlefield is no place for me. I can't even wield a sword properly. So he goes to be with little Sam and Gilly, which I thought was very in character. So I just feel like, I know I said I wouldn't mention it again, that Arya was the only one that was really weirdly out of character. Other than that, I think it was a pretty decent episode. If I had to guess, this will actually probably be one of the worst episodes of the season because the fights are going to be incredible. Game of Thrones does not disappoint on that end. We all know that. And I think there's going to be another interesting episode, either episode 4 or 6. Going to have a lot of juicy details. I'm going to wrap things up and kind of get a lot of plot threads wrapped up. At least that's my hope. But I want to know what you guys think is going to happen in the future of Game of Thrones. Did you like this episode? Did you not? Who's going to die in the next episode? Or is anyone going to die at all? Is the Night King going to kill everybody? Let me know the answer to all those questions down in the comments below. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Maybe bringing you guys more movies, TV, video game, and anime content. Any type of pop culture content. If you like that stuff, I like it. That's why I make this channel. So yeah, subscribe to the channel for that. I'm going to have a video that's reviewing Avengers Endgame coming out next week. And then also next Sunday I'm going to have this video, except for it's going to be for episode 3 of Game of Thrones. And I'm also thinking about doing a top 5 Final Fantasy soundtrack sometime in the near future. But that's probably a couple weeks off. So I'm going to leave a link to my Twitch and my Twitter in the description below so you can find out when I go live streaming or when I post a new video, or just what my random thoughts of the day are. That's kind of what I use Twitter for. But other than that, until next time, guys, this is Master Menard, signing off.
Now look at the top, I'm going crazy, who wearing the crown? Scootly bop, doodly bolly doodly.